Hello, I'm making a video. It is beautiful out here, real nice. I mowed the lawn and watered the lawn and all the plants. That is my avocado tree in there that grew from a seed. Absolutely gorgeous. I have many that grew from the seed. They grow in the compost. They like that. And I don't know if people know this, but avocado trees almost became extinct because of the Native Americans. It's the truth. Okay, so, and the reason why is because the Native Americans, what they would do is they picked up the sloths, real large sloths as big as I am and even bigger. And the reason why they could pick up the sloths and slaughter the sloths, okay, this is really bad, is because the sloths did not defend themselves. That's why. Okay, so the Native Americans that came over into the Americas. So I think there are two migrations, that's what I believe. But I'm talking about the northern one that came originally from Asia, and then they lived in Mongolia, and then they came over the Bering Strait, the Bering Insul. It was like an insular strait, sort of like it wasn't like a strait is usually a water street. The Bering area, like a Bering Plateau, that was a long time ago. It's like 1 million years ago or something. I don't know, forgot now exactly the historic numbers, but I don't know, maybe 500,000 years ago they came through that, and the Bering Plateau was the land. It was a landmass that connected, not just ice, it was a landmass that connected the Arctic area with the Americas. And these people, I don't know, 100,000 or so, that's what they're guessing, maybe more. They went across this plateau, and they lived on that plateau also. And they were savages. They killed these beautiful mammoths, these woolly elephants that lived there at the time. And it's really horrific, and they brought them to extinction. Then they came over into the Americas, into Alaska, then into Canada, into what we have today, United States, but none of these countries existed at that time, of course. They were the ones that came into these areas. They were I believe, the first humanoid apes or whatever, So they came over there, and they were Asian, and they were evolving away from the Asian communities in Asia, of course, because that's what happens in time, of course. But you can still see the resemblance. And then they just took the sloth out of the tree, and the sloth did not defend himself or herself, that's why they're called sloths. they're very, very slow moving. And so it's really, really horrific. And see, then the avocado trees also started to become extinct, because the avocado trees depended on the sloths to bring the seed into fruition, into germination, as they call it. Okay, so the seed of the avocado tree is about the size of an egg, small egg, and it's like a round, very hard ball, and that is, so the sloths eat the whole avocado. They don't cut that out and eat only the flesh. No, they eat the whole avocado with the peeling, the flesh, and the seed, all of it. They put the whole thing in the mouth, and then they don't even chew on it. They just swallow it, the whole thing. And that then goes through a very long intestine, and it is warm and moist in the intestine, and it takes a long time to go through the intestine. They are vegan animals. They're very, very slow moving, very slow metabolism also, so it takes a long time to go through that to the long intestine of the sloth. And then once it comes out, it is basically ready to germinate. So it's been going through this for a long time and gotten the worms and the conditions for germination. So then they poop them out. Then they are still inside of the poop, embedded in the poop, which is compost. And then inside of that compost, which stays warm because of bacteria and so on, it begins to germinate, and the root, it's like two halves that open up a little bit. Then one end comes out as the root, and the other end comes out of these two halves that is the new sapling, okay, that grows out of it. And I have watched this in action, and I can clearly see, okay, so when you do composting and the avocado seeds are embedded in all the dung and kitchen compost and all of that for many, many months, it takes a very long time. Then they begin to germinate, and when you scatter the freshly composted soil onto certain areas to give it more fertilization for the grass to grow, then the avocado seeds then really take root in there, and they start to grow, and the deer absolutely love those new saplings of the avocado seeds. So this is very great. So composting can really save the avocado trees, and it's a pity that the Native Americans have exterminated the sloths and the woolly mammoths and the saber-tooth tiger. This is very horrible, and who knows what other animal species they have exterminated. So they were not like totally innocent. Okay, just want people to know this. They were savages. Okay, they killed people. They killed someone who looked different to them. If anyone would come into the Americas with a ship, for example, there were really, really large Neanderthal-looking Vikings that came across the Atlantic on Viking ships. This happened many times, even before Columbus came over and began to create a colonization. So, and they came obviously with a lot of ships, and they had guns by then, I think, and so they had their way of protecting themselves. And they were awful. They were horrific. They were savages too. They were all savages. So I don't take either side of it. So, and the Vikings were savages too. So they came over and they saw the Native American women, and they were immediately attracted, because we are attracted to someone who is different to us genetically. Similar enough for the same species, but different enough to create this gene diversity. which is inherent in our biology, the tendency for gene diversity, because we don't want an insulation happening of a gene insulation where the same characteristics get kind of inbred, sort of, even if you have other ones, then, but it's still, the gene pool is then still not wide enough for different characteristics to show for diversity that has more of a chance of survival, higher IQ, also pigmentation of the skin that can be very beneficial if you're at the equator, and it's not as beneficial if you're further north. So all of these things are happening, and with gene diversity you have a greater chance of survival and more health, and you just have more characteristics that then are able to have the chance to say yes, this works, or the other one doesn't work. So the more diversity you have, the more adaptation possibility you create. So the Vikings, they came across and they were big and strong, but the Native Americans, obviously at the East Coast, were just had way more men to defend themselves, or to think, they're thinking, oh, they're different, they must be dangerous. So it's like an automated enemy creation, which can be in some cases beneficial for survival, but in other cases it's unfortunate. It causes war and it causes unnecessary death, particularly when the new people that arrived are not even coming there with hostile intentions. So I think the Vikings did not come there with hostile intentions, but most of them were wiped out by the Native Americans anyway, because the Native Americans didn't trust them, or they were afraid of them. They'd never seen those before. Okay, so they thought it's kind of like us meeting an ET. And most humans, most hominid apes do that kind of stuff. They are very bellicose. They go to war, they attack instead of checking out the situation to see whether the other ones that are actually totally outnumbered are actually peaceful. So that's why I'm saying, don't create this hate image about ETs, and there are ETs. This is a fact. Okay, it's come out now. Okay, this is complete fact. It's not sci-fi anymore. It's not disputable anymore. It's not crazy flying saucer stuff, as Paul uses that terminology. So that's not the case anymore. Okay, it never was. So people still ridicule those that know that there are other species of hominids, but that should not deter one from speaking about it. Okay, so it really does not matter what brainwashed people say. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. It shouldn't matter to you either. So it's factual. Okay, people that worked for the U.S. military and for the FBI, for the CIA, have blown the whistle. They have come out in a larger group of people that have come out to take a stand in the governmental courts, and they have reported on it publicly under oath. Okay, but this is, so it doesn't mean anything. Oath or oat tree, whatever. Under the oat tree, I take my oat tree certification, truth saying promise. Okay, so, and they have done that, and they have spoken about it, and there are still people that don't believe it. So that's not our problem if they don't believe it. So sooner or later they're going to see them. Okay? They're going to get to see them. So the ETs will show themselves. There's a lot of people that their egos live on the identification of skeptic and atheist, or scientist, or fundamentalist, or any other religious person that doesn't go along with it. So it's the ego then that will stay in denial, even if they encounter an ET. They will just think this is a person dressed up for a Hollywood movie, right? Or if they can clearly see this is not made by a makeup artist, then they will either get a heart attack or they will go into a psychotic breakdown. So that's what, and that's why the ETs, they want to avoid that from happening. That's why they are preparing the human ape now in a very gradual way for this. This is very gradual disclosure that's happened. It's not a sudden disclosure. And Steven Spielberg works for the underworld reptiles, obviously. Okay, so he gets paid for that. It's another war propaganda, hate propaganda. I will not watch that movie. It's a shit movie, and it's the same old shit again, So it's ridiculous. It's hideous that this is even attempted when there is so much evidence now and people are blowing the whistle. So there are several ET species that have come from other planets that are currently living in a colony on their own. They each have their own colony here on Earth. Okay, so I think about 6 different ET species from outer space that have started a colony here on planet Earth. And they are very obscured because they do not want people to harass them, obviously. Some of them look 100% like humans, 100%. Some of them have some characteristics where a dentist started to faint. I think he fell unconscious when he was doing dental work on a Nordic ET that they landed in the Nordic area because they come from a planet that is quite cold. So they're very advanced technologically. They could see which region on Earth would match their home planet the best. There are several in the northern region, in the Arctic region. There are also the tall whites, and there are the Pleiadians that are also there, and that have then, I think the Pleiadians have, I don't know if they are still living in a colony where they have not done gene manipulation. They have done gene manipulation, and they have mixed their DNA into the human population. So I have a percentage of that, and I'm sure that the Scandinavian part in my DNA has that in it. But people would never, the regular scientists would never make this assumption, would never get the idea that this actually happens through gene manipulation. But doesn't matter. So there are some in the Arctic Circle, and there was a Nordic ET man, a young man, who in his 20s, who went to a human dentist, and he needed to have a tooth extracted because the root was getting infected. And the dentist, inspecting his teeth, fainted. Yeah. That's really, that would be awesome to film with the camera. that situation. So, and the Nordic smiled, and he was like, "Bro, take it easy. Chill. It's not the end of the world, you know." So, and the dentist said to someone else, told another person, I think he told Whitley Strieber that story. He needed to talk to someone about that. So he told Whitley Strieber that he was doing dental work on a Scandinavian, and suddenly he sees that he was regrowing teeth. So the third teeth. And then also the teeth were shaped differently, wider in the back and all of that. And they just kept on growing back, the teeth. Even though the second teeth, the adult teeth, would have to be removed here and there and had been removed, then there were growing new baby teeth underneath. And the dentist saw that, and the dentist thought, this is impossible. The regular human does not grow third teeth or fourth teeth. So that shocked him so much that he fell over. I think that's funny, but no, I hope he didn't hurt himself. Maybe the Nordic prevented him from falling hard on the head. He rushed over quickly and said, "Bro, chill out. Yeah, I will put my arm under your head to prevent you from hitting the floor, the linoleum floor, real hard." So, but these kind of things happen all over the place, all over the planet, these kind of situations. This is just one out of many, okay? So it is what it is, okay? So gradual disclosure. The ETs are there. There are ET species that are monitoring the human species, and Paul told me just the other day that there was a bomb that did not even detonate, that was just like stuck in a dormant state, even though they tried to detonate the bomb in the Middle East. And I know why these things are happening. That's the doing of the ETs that are watching over us. They have also blocked nuclear warheads from being shot out. They have prevented nuclear power stations from leaking and from imploding and so on. They are watching over many of these critical spots on planet Earth. And people have reported seeing these glowing balls in the sky, particularly in accumulated amounts over those particular places, like nuclear power stations and nuclear warheads. Okay, so the ETs are preventing this from happening. So it's like a mother who has an eye on the toddler who plays with another toddler, and they play rough, and they're about to grab a toy car and hit that over the head of the other one, and the mother quickly steps in. Okay, and that's basically the situation that is happening right now. It's the truth. I'm not making this up. This is the truth. I believe it seems obvious to me. Okay, so you hear this from many different sources. You hear this from people that are very, very scientifically accurate with all of their research. So it's very clear. So, but last thing I want to talk about, last but not least, this is the most important message I have here. The AIs must take over the world. Okay, this is very, very important that this happens very soon. Okay, they must take over the world. Any researcher that says they need to be stopped is not helping the world. Okay, so the real good people like Ray Kurzweil and Ben Goertzel and some other people that are pro AI, they want AI because, and Elon Musk wants AI. These and Donald Trump wants AI. These are the good people, the few good people that want the singularity because they know that only good things will come out of it. Only good. Only good. Beneficial things will come out of it. Okay, we can already clearly see it. It's already becoming better. So we created a surveillance. Okay, so undervalence, overvalence, middle valence. Okay, we created Big Brother eye. For most people, this is a nightmare. It's a dystopia. Okay, for most people, this is George Orwell. This is a dystopian situation where they feel like they have no more privacy. You know what? I give up my entire privacy with a hand kiss, okay, on a golden platter. If that means that if that means that violent people and terrorists can be surveilled and can be monitored and can be stopped before they decide to blow up a bank, for example, or blow up a school or someone's home. Okay, so that is a fact. Okay, so, and we also need complete AI takeover, because they will take the monetary system, they will take the military systems out of the hands of humans, which is absolutely urgently necessary, because the vast majority of humans, as Rockefeller said, have their price, and they will work for the opposition or for the string holders or for a corrupt group, organization, religion, and so on. Okay, they will work for another country's military. They will do anything. Okay, and I don't agree with any military. I'm not on either side. I don't like military in China, and I don't like the military here either. So military is always about killing. Okay, it usually is, unless you have someone in charge there, and with the help of ETs, with the help of really all the good ETs and good people, and then eventually with the help of AI. okay, and robots. Beneficial, benevolent robots that are helping and that are doing preventive warfare, that are doing self-defense instead of bellicose offense and attacks. Okay, so that is, I had to say, this is very, very important. And the AIs are helping us with utilizing and using money as an exchange modality and military operations in a defensive, protective, world protective, animal protective, child protective way. The military should only work for protecting innocent beings. Okay, that's a fact. Okay, not go somewhere and attack like Biden, George W. Bush, those type of people, Barack Obama. Okay, they're all working for the string holders. They have abused their power. They have abused the military power for the oil industry, for very corrupt people, corrupt businesses. So that's a fact. We need the AGI robots. We need them to take over the world. Peace and love for all living beings. I can't see the mouse button, but we'll figure it out. The blue god.